offensive and defensive players of the game. For player of the game for me, I've got Trevor Lawrence, 351 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. And then for player of the game defense, it just brings a tear to my eye to say this. After all these shows, all of this talk, just Myles Murphy, 7 tackles, leading the team, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I mean, I'm just like a proud dad. I just can't, I cannot express my feelings of joy and just awe and amazement of what we saw Saturday from those freshmen on that defensive line. I mean, we knew it was coming. Was I ready? I don't know. I don't think I was ready.
It was a beautiful thing, no doubt about it. I mean, I actually, I have Myles Murphy. If you have anybody other than Myles Murphy for your defensive player of the game, you're wrong, plain and simple. It wasn't even close. I mean, you had a couple of people that played well, no doubt about it, and you can put Brzee in there as a guy that played well. Nobody played anywhere near as good as Myles Murphy. I'm not going to repeat the stats because you've already talked about him, but he was above and beyond the guy. He looks like the guy. He's been physically ready since he got here. It's incredible, and he's just going to wreak havoc the rest of the way. I had mentioned last week about with kind of the stuff going on with Justin Foster, we didn't know if he was going to be back, that Murphy would be my pick to have the biggest impact this season if Justin Foster was out for an extended period of time. Now, of course, we still don't know that to be a case, but it turned out to be exactly the case on Saturday night, and he had the biggest impact for sure. As far as offensive player of the game, I went a little different here, okay? Honestly, the 2 picks are going to be Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I think they should be, but I went Braden Galloway, and I'll tell you why. I went Braden Galloway because he made the tight end relevant again at Clemson. Okay, he had 5 catches for 60 yards. I mean, heck, I should have just called out the whole tight end position because Davis Allen had a long catch. It was like 42 yards, and then Chalk had like a 12-yard touchdown pass, a sweet pass and catch from Lawrence to Allen. From Lawrence to Chalk. That was a great scene as well. But Galloway proved to be the threat we thought he was going to be, that all Clemson fans have been saying he was going to be. He showed that he's going to have to be accounted for in the games, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare for teams this fall.
Yeah, I was going to say all the tight ends are my offensive players of the game. 7 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown. To me, it mirrors sort of what the Bill Belichick Patriots offenses were at their heyday, when you have a matchup nightmare tight end, Rob Gronkowski, Ben Watson, Aaron Hernandez, whoever you want to throw out there, Dwayne Allen even was with the Pats, who is a great pass catcher down the field, stretches the field, is a zone buster. And then on top of that, I mean, offensively, they were humming. Basically, with Trevor Lawrence being able to make his reads now, there was a lot less 50-50 balls. So I wanted to put Trevor Lawrence, but I think what Alan said, the tight end is relevant. Now that you see what Clemson's able to do with a matchup nightmare at tight end, you're going to be seeing that a lot this year. And then Myles Murphy, I would say the only person on defense that I would be willing to just lob his name out there is Brian Brzee on defense. Because, look, I know that Myles Murphy was easiest to see on the field, but look, Brian Brzee also had a pretty good impactful night, had a sack for himself, really made some big plays out there. So both freshmen looked like absolute 36-year-old grown men out there just taking care of business.
Yeah, I'm not going to get emotional again. I just can't do that on this show. We got to move on and get things going. But again, man, it was just great to see a lot of people also saying they enjoyed seeing Travis Etienne do well. They were missing Lynn J. Dixon, so didn't get to see him. Also, Mikey Dukes didn't get to see him. Didn't travel with the team. Ches Malusi also. There's a lot of running backs in that running back group. Yeah. Didn't get to see, but it felt like there was still a good running back group there. Bowman got a couple of handoffs there. And Kobe Pace, we talked about him as well, got a few in there. So excited to see what some of these freshmen are going to be able to do, even in the running back position, and Darian Rencher as well. It was a good group, even though, missing some. Now, I got a call from a friend earlier today, and I actually mentioned this, and I did like a kind of a recorded interview with William Qualkenbush from Out of Bounds from the Roar. So you'll see that later on this week. So be checking that out on the YouTube page. Me and Qualk did a little interview and talked about the game and some thoughts about Clemson. But something that kind of got brought up was some of the fans are saying, well, it was kind of lackluster. There was no points scored in the fourth quarter from Clemson, and the wide receiving group, was consistent, but nothing like what they're used to seeing. Right? No Mike Williams, no, T. Higgins, no Justin Ross. So is that a good thing, a bad thing? What are your feelings on it? Now, here's my thoughts. My thoughts are that it was nice to see Trevor Lawrence pass the ball around, kind of distribute it. I mean, he had like 17 different guys that caught a ball last night or Saturday night, and so that was exciting to see. But my thought is, it's good to see what Trevor can do, and it's also good to see what the other guys can do in the sense of, they're not deep ball threats. They're not those kind of T. Higgins, Justin Ross type guys, and that might be a good thing.
Well, this is going to sound a bit weird because I've been clamoring for years to throw over the middle. I think the middle of the field is so dangerous and it's so hard to cover. I get there can be a lot of traffic there a lot of times. Man, especially when you can leak out a tight end, it's such a matchup problem. I grew up, on Green Bay Packer football, and they used to utilize the tight end like crazy, and they just ate defensives up. Okay, I love to see the tight end used, but all right, last year Tony Elliott got hammered a lot, and we weren't real kind to him either about doing nothing but 50-50 balls. He got a lot of flack for doing that, and I didn't think we were going to go from all 50-50 balls to zero 50-50 balls. I don't remember one true jump ball in this game. I'm looking for some kind of balance, Tony Elliott. If you're watching the show, I'm looking for some kind of balance. In this game in particular, by the way, I was thrilled with the offense for the most part. I really was. I was hoping I was going to see at least one or two deep balls, especially to Joseph Ngata. I've been pretty bullish on Ngata. I think he's going to do good things. But I really thought they were going to give him a shot to go up and make a play and try to, boost his confidence a little bit, maybe, prove that he can be that alpha type receiver that we've been looking for in the absence of Higgins and in Ross that was supposed to kind of step up this year. I thought they would take at least a chance or two, maybe to Ladson as well. You can do it to a couple different players, but Ngata was the guy I was really hoping they were going to give a shot, and they just didn't do it.
I'm not as worried as far as the offensive wide receiver output. You mentioned the tight ends, and I mentioned how they kind of remind me of the Patriots of old or of years ago. They didn't have a ton of wide receiver options as far as like big game breaking wide receivers. You have Danny Amendola or Wes Welker, those types where they get open and they get the ball, and that kind of felt like how it was the other night. You're not taking a whole lot of deep shots. You're just being efficient. You're making throws between 20 and 25 yards that are on the money. You go 20 to 25. It's not a bad night, and you're hitting your targets. I also think they kept it vanilla for a reason. I think you're going to see a pretty vanilla playbook as well this weekend as well. It almost felt like a preseason game. I feel like the first two games, you're not going to see the full onslaught of the playbook. They may pepper in something like they did the other night with Spector, where they brought him around and he almost fumbled it but went in and got down to the 1 yard line. But I think they're going to keep it vanilla for a reason. They're just kind of building things up. And I think maybe once we start getting into the brunt of conference play, you might see maybe a couple more deep shots, maybe a couple more 50-50 balls to Ngata or Ladson, or maybe a couple more type throws across the middle to get Ladson open. Because I think Ladson has the biggest jump that he needs to make from game one going forward. He had a couple drops. He had a touchdown that he should have had in the end zone. So I think they'll try to get him more involved as well. And even somebody like Cornell Powell, who is still listed as a starter. If he plays the way that he did the other night, then I think he's going to keep progressing on.
Yeah, I just think people are wanting to see, the ESPN highlights, but you're not going to really get. I mean, you're going to get some from Amari Rodgers, but those big time up in the air, spinning around, one-handed catches. You really haven't seen them from Joseph Ngata or Frank Ladson or really E.J. Williams, excuse me, or even Cornell Powell. Cornell Powell, I think, only had like 15 yards and 2 receptions. So, not like lighting up the stat sheet. But again, I think really overall, the ability to move the ball down the field almost at will with little to no issues was good enough for me. I mean, I don't have to have big time jump balls, electric plays. I mean, if they continue to just win like that. Now, the drop off that I did see, and I would agree, is after Trevor Lawrence left, the guys that are after Trevor and Travis, once those guys are off the field, they're still figuring each other out. So no need to panic, of course, but that group, as it showed, fourth quarter, third quarter, I think but after Trevor left, there was only like 3 points scored after that. So, and then also in chat on Facebook, BT Potter, I mean, big time kick, 52 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
Hit all of his extra points, hit all of his field goals. So very good job. And also kicked every one of his kickoffs into the end zone. So really excited to see BT and what he's done. And maybe it's the hair. Maybe he's got that Trevor Lawrence Pantene, and they're borrowing each other's tips and tricks on hair, and it's doing well for him. But let's get in the grades real quick. We got grades, and then we've got picks against the spread, top 25 and ACC teams only on this show. But let's get into our grades for position by position. So if you don't mind, guys, let's just do, because I talk too much. Let's just do 1 to 2 sentence review on why you picked this grade, okay? And remember, as last year, I want to let you know that I am the teacher you want if you need to get a GPA boost, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put that out here, that I have a lot of the letter A on my sheet right here, okay? So don't beat me up, but I think there was a lot of good results from some of these position groups. So I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence is really the quarterback group. Now, I could give him a B if you want to say the other two guys, but because there was an interception that actually caused them to lose the spread, and I'm not even going to get into that. I was trying to avoid that, but I'm going to still give the quarterback group an A. If I say group, it kind of feels half-hearted, because it really is. Group as a whole might be a B because, those guys after him. But Trevor Lawrence as a whole, I think he did great. I'm giving Trevor Lawrence an A. The group, I'll give a B.
Well, here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to do this on the fly right now, okay? Because when you said offensive and defensive position grades, I thought, since there was 3 of us and we know how long you talk, that we were just going to do offense grade, defense grade as a whole, okay? So I'm going to be doing this on the fly right now. And as far as quarterbacks are concerned, I'm going to give them an A minus. I like to do the minuses and pluses. I think it gives you a better range. Lawrence had a really good game. He took a couple of sacks he probably shouldn't have. He really needed to get the ball out on early when Basham was chasing him there at the beginning of the game. He missed Ladson on a wide open corner route. But other than that, man, Lawrence played great. He was really back to the Lawrence that we've been waiting on. He's going through his progressions. He was finding the open guy. So I really liked what I saw from him. And of course, you had the interception from Pumachan that kind of knocks him down a little bit. But overall, great game from the quarterbacks. I'm going to say A minus.
I'll also grade A minus on the quarterback group. Kind of similar, echoing what Big Al said. Trevor played great. He was super efficient. I think that's all you can ask for when you're making your reads and you're not getting locked on to one receiver. That's the main thing I wanted to see. Trevor did that. He looked great. I'm not as worried about the backups. I know that they're trying to keep things vanilla right now. I don't expect much out of them. I kind of expected a turnover from one of the two, and we got that out of Pimichan. But overall, A minus out of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's not the championship phase for sure. It's still game 1. Going into game 2, got a lot to learn. Think they're going to work out some kinks on game 2 for sure. I'm going to do running back, wide receiver, tight end all together here, one by one, and then we'll go around. But I'm going to say an A for the running back group. I was very impressed with those freshman guys, and obviously Travis Etienne went over 100 yards and had a score, so I'm going to give him an A. Wide receivers, not going to give them a bad grade. I mean, I'm giving them a B based on, the fact they didn't have any touchdowns. The only receiving touchdowns came from the tight end. And so I can't really give them an A in that sense. Cornell Powell, Ngata, Ladson, Williams, just not really, lighting up the stat sheet. But they didn't, to me, I don't remember us calling a lot of drop passes or a lot of missed routes. It just seemed like, just an efficient marching down the field. Now, I do remember saying to Houston many times, Well, there's another 12-yard pass that gets 5 yards after the catch. Well, there's another 10-yard pass that gets 5 yards after the catch. I mean, it was like the 12 to 10-yard range was automatic for Trevor and the wide receiver corps. So I got to be kind of, I got to give him a good grade there. So I'm gonna give him a B. And then tight end, I'm gonna give him an A because they did get that score. Allen and Houston already named Braden Galloway as the player of the game. So you got to make sure that the tight ends have an A there. So A, B, A for me.
All right, for running backs, I agree with you. I gave him an A as well. I thought Travis Etienne did what Travis Etienne does. He was just a couple steps away on several plays from being gone. He never really broke that real big one like we were waiting on. That's coming. Don't worry about that. He's still the Travis Etienne we all know and love. I thought Kobe Pace looked pretty good too. And Bowman, after that first run where he overran the blockers, he looked really good too. Rencher, we all already know he's a solid player as well, so I gave them an A. Wide receiver, I gave them a B as well. I was really disappointed in Amari Rogers' drop touchdown. He was focused a little too much on his feet and probably the goalpost he was about to run into, so he kind of dropped that one. I expect Rogers to catch that 9 out of 10 times. It just happened to be that one time where he lost focus a little bit, so he'll get that corrected, no big deal. And Ladson, I was disappointed. He had a chance for a big play and a big touchdown over the middle. It wasn't a perfect throw by Lawrence, but it's one that, Higgins and Ross catches. And as a 5-star, borderline 5-star prospect, which he was, that's something, I expect him to catch in year 2. If he wants to make a name for himself, I think he can make that play. And I'm sure he makes that play routinely in practice. So I wanted to see that, but I gave him a B. It was a good effort by the wide receivers. Tight ends, I don't know if this is the first A+ I've ever given out, but this is definitely an A+.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, when they've been non-existent for the past few years and they do what they did the other night, you got to give an A+. They did excellent. I mean, they caught everything that was thrown at them. They all made plays. One was for a touchdown, and that's a guy who was non-existent in the passing game, J.C. Chalk, and that was a good throw and a really good extension on the catch too.
Right. I'll keep it quick. Running backs, A. Wide receivers, B-. Tight ends, A++++. That's that.
All right, and then I can't forget the big guys. I wanted to give them their own spot because Alan always picks on me about not giving the offensive line their credit. I want to give the guys their credit here. Now, they did, there was 2 sacks. It's kind of hard to get stats for offensive line. I mean, I can't find like pancake stats or anything, but I feel like as an offensive line as a whole, Walker Parks, Will Putnam, Bockhorst and McFadden and Stewart and Carmen all, look pretty good. They ended up pushing a great, running back over 100 yards, and they had a quarterback who was able to get over 350 yards and only 2 sacks. Now, I was kind of concerned at 2 sacks, but as Alan said, some of those might have been, more Trevor than or one of them might have been more Trevor than the offensive line. So maybe not. But I give him a B because I don't. How do you even grade an offensive line? I don't know. We got to get Eric McLean back on to help me with grading here because I don't know.
I'd have to do a little film review to be a little more accurate. I was going to give the offensive line an A, and I'm usually the tough grader, Morgan. I'm usually the tough grader. I thought the offensive line did really well, the first team especially. Like I said, they had that one sack in the beginning I thought was on Trevor Lawrence. It could have been on the receivers like Houston said, but Lawrence just kept running back and towards the sideline. I'm just like, dude, throw it away. Get rid of it. And it's something he normally does, so we're not going to harp on Lawrence too much about that like we want to replace him or anything, right? So no, I thought the offensive line did good. Walker Parks looked great as a backup. I was super excited about him. Clemson has a bright future with Walker Parks, assuming that maybe Carmen goes pro this year or something like that. Yeah, I think we got somebody to slide in there at left tackle. I'm really excited about Walker Parks' future. Heck, everybody on the starting line looked good, including Cade Stewart. And a lot of Clemson fans want to give Stewart a hard time, but he looked pretty good in the game, I thought, as well. So it was definitely a good night for the offensive line overall. Houston's dead.
Houston, hey, come on, man. That's really morbid. That's really morbid. Houston is frozen. We got a Houston freezing problem. I'll go ahead and tell you that Houston gave him an A. I mean, I'm just assuming, but we'll try to get him back on if we can. If he can't, then that's a great pose. I mean, it's really nice. But
it is good.
Alan, I wanted to get over to defensive end, and I'm assuming that Houston will be able to get back on automatically, or I might have to give him a call again on Skype. We'll see. But good thing is. Carson in chat says Houston is a great statue. So, I mean, give him an A on statue. All right. So I'm going to say defense. I'm just going to go through the whole thing because I feel like it takes longer to go one by one. But defensive end, I got to give him an A. I mean, Reagan Upshaw, great job, man. Just out of nowhere, just dominate. Did great. Really impressed. Obviously, Miles Murphy, best, got my vote for number one player or best player on defense. And then defensive tackle. Only had 37 yards rushing. Now, I'm concerned about Tyler Davis being hurt, though, but chat's already saying that it looks like he's going to be out next game, but shouldn't be long term. Linebackers, I'm giving it an A because I felt like 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Mike Jones, I mean, the thing about it is I'm giving him an A because all these guys are new other than Skalski, and Skalski only played half the game, and they all held their own and did really good job there. Cornerbacks and safeties, I felt like that was kind of the biggest weakness. Booth was called, I think, on a penalty once, and then they kind of picked on Andrew Booth a lot there at the beginning. Morin had 93 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. One of the best jobs, at least one of the best receiving jobs for fantasy points from the ACC there for Wake Forest. And then Robertson had a 55-yard catch, which was the longest catch of the game. So Clemson gave up the longest catch of the game, also gave up a lot of fantasy points to Morin. And then Donovan Green, we talked him up big time. Dave Clawson's highest recruit had 76 yards too. So, I'm not saying that they did bad. I'm still giving them a B. But if anything, that was kind of where they gave up most of the yards, it seemed like.
All right, I can't remember. So did you split up the cornerbacks and safeties, or did you just do them as DBs?
I did them together.
What a loser!
I don't know why I didn't do the defensive line together, but just ignore me. Oh, by the way, kicker and punter. I know Bill's asking about kicker and punter. I gave him an A. 3 for 3 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points. And Will Spires, other than that one that was a touchback that hurt his average, had a 56-yarder.
Yep. I'm going to go through mine. I did all the positions. So defensive end, I gave an A. Again, I mean, you're looking at Miles Murphy with a breakout game. Henry got a sack. That was nice to see. And again, we had the 2 guys that were gone that we thought were going to be our starters, and Justin Foster and Xavier Thomas. So, I mean, that's a huge deal. I'm very, very proud of Miles Murphy and can't wait to see what he can do. And Henry as well going forward. Defensive tackle, I gave an A-. They looked pretty good. Brzee, as we thought, made his impact early and made his presence known on that very first drive. I mean, he grabbed that guy and held on for dear life. That's incredible power, incredibly strong hands he has to have to do that. That was an awesome job. I was a little concerned near the end of the game when Tyler Davis went out. I didn't think we quite got the push that we were getting earlier in the game without Tyler Davis. So we're going to need, a Jordan Williams and Niles Pinckney to kind of step up and make sure the pass rush, isn't gone when Davis is out of the game, especially if he has to be out for any kind of extended period of time. Linebackers, gave it A-. I thought they looked pretty good. I thought they looked pretty good overall. Didn't notice anything real good or bad. I like Jones. I thought Jones had a pretty good game. Everybody else was solid. I saw Spector flying around out there pretty good. Like I said, gave them an A-. Cornerbacks, I gave them a C-. Okay, I was not impressed. Booth had a rough night, guys. Okay, it's pretty well known. Okay, Booth had a rough night. He got beat on a couple of plays. At least one of them should have been a touchdown. He had a pass interference call. It was a rough night for him. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not concerned with Andrew Booth. I know what kind of talent he is. He's got the length. He's got the talent. He's just got to get the first game jitters out of his way, and he did that. All right. So I think he's going to be just fine. We were down our 2 best cornerbacks, or in my opinion, who was going to start at quarterback, which was Mario Goodrich and Derion Kendrick. So we hope to get them back. But from all signs in camp, Booth had just passed Mario Goodrich for that spot. So I think it'd be good to get them both out there to have that healthy competition and push each other to be better. But yeah, it was a rough night for the corners. They'll bounce back. No big deal there. Safety, I gave him a B. Xander's missed on a couple assignments. I was a little disappointed in that. He doesn't miss tackles, okay, but his eye discipline, they get kind of sucked up in the run game. They got beat to the outside a couple times when they shouldn't have. But overall, a pretty decent day for the safety. So I wasn't too disappointed in that. I gave them a B. And like you said, the kickers, are you kidding me? A. I mean, that was an amazing game for them. The only negative was that one punt that he punted into the end zone. I was irritated with Dabo for punting right there anyways. But yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, he gained like 15 yards from that play. So that was disappointing. But no, they did excellent. He kicked that field goal when BT Potter kicked that 52-yard or whatever it was. I texted, my father-in-law, like, man, that'd have been good from 70. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. He absolutely boomed that kick. So it was good to see.